Welcome back. We're here to talk about this Darth Alice Katana retrofit / reinstall. So this is a return client. They picked this saber up off the used market, I believe, and once they got their hands on it and kind of picked it apart and kind of wanted to do some reprogramming, were a little dissatisfied with the age of the tech in it and how to access it. So they reached out to me to see what could be done. And then we interfaced with Todd at Darth Alice. And then I told the customer, by the way, Goth3D has an oval hilt design. So if you confirm with both Rick and Todd that it can be done, then I'd be happy to do it. So that's what we did. Let's hop down to the table. Let's talk about what went on with the install, go over some concerns with operating it, and then we'll hop back out and show some blade styles and such. So here it is. One thing to note off the top is that we did keep some elements of the existing saber, both internal and on the external here with the switches. And then if I take the blade plug out here, the emitter as well. So this houses a CCSabers that we kept. And that part of that was because as I disassembled the existing chassis and crystal chamber parts, I didn't really feel comfortable modifying anything, and we could just take the leads off the switch and the emitter and make them work. So the other thing to note is you can see there was a hole here for a recharge port. And so now with the Master Chassis, we have a removable battery system, so we didn't need the hole to fill it up. I just thought it would be cool to put a little bling on the outside. So there's a cubic zirconia there. And what you can't see on the back, but you can sort of see some wear on this ray skin, was that the existing chassis had a machine piece of Delrin where Todd spring-loaded a brass ball detent. So there's a hole in the aluminum that the ray skin covers. When the chassis was reinserted into the grip, that ball detent made a positive connection with the hole so that the grip and the tang and all that stuff was secure. Since that's gone, I had to drill and tap a set screw, and I went with a 632 so that the same Allen key could handle both the blade set screw and the grip set screw. So we just want to back that out a touch. Do keep in mind it's a shallow set screw, so you don't need to back it off too much. You do want to make sure you back it off enough so that when you're pulling the grip off, you don't scratch the brass. But keep in mind that if you back it off too far, it could fall off and you could lose it. So when we go to remove the upper from the grip, we want to be very cautious because the nature of the MJF and brass printed parts and the multi-part assembly means that this is a very tight fit on this hilt. I don't know if it's this particular grip tube or the fact that this design may have gone under the design from a grip in a newer hilt where there was a little bit more room. So when we go to take it apart, be very slow and cautious because it does have a bit of a tight grip. But over time, that will loosen up, and then it shouldn't be as big of an issue. But again, you don't want to go yanking everything off because if we take a look, we can see that the existing parts of the crystal chamber come on these threaded rods all the way up to this point in the chassis where there's that 440 threaded nut. And so everything from this point up is very secure with the tang and the upper portion, but everything that's below is basically just resting on this MJF plastic here. The brass can sort of, squunch it together, but when there's no battery and no cover, like this can flex, and you just want to be very careful. So while we have the battery out, positive is toward the speaker. We've got Keystone contacts here. I've got a wrapped battery, and then we'll put that in. And one thing to note to the customer, this was, I had showed him progress as I was working on this hilt, but this is not something that comes standard, but because of how I had to make sure that everything fit up in the battery area, that I didn't want, as you're sliding and getting some friction, for this to like dip down and cause a problem. So I put just a little bit of super glue on the backs of some extra 3mm magnets so that they can make a better connection to the battery. As I was kind of testing it after I wired it up and I did the twist on and twist off, the cover would just fling off. So I didn't want the customer to have to deal with that. But we can take a quick look now. And so again, we've got our existing switches. Left is power, right is aux. We have our existing crystal chamber parts. Now I do know that these upper and lower parts were steel because I had to modify them to fit some magnets for this Proffie cover. And that was quite cumbersome to drill into steel. I've got a drill press and all that. And, you know, I've drilled into aluminum and brass, no problem. But the moment I went to go do this, one, I had trouble making sure this odd shaped part I could secure in a vise without, one, destroying it, but two, without destroying my bit, because it just wasn't doing much work at the beginning. That being said, we got it in there. Very cool Noah Drew marble, holocron marble with the synthetic opal in the center there. Again, like I said, we could take the Proffie cover off and see the two 2mm by 2mm magnets that I had to drill into that to hold it. And those are here on this part as well. And then we've got our Proffie V3. So instead of a single 50/50 neopixel accent now, we have a shadow foil 7/15/15 neopixel accent. So I don't know how many of the presets I've programmed for the crystal chamber to have rotary style animations, but that can be done if that's something you wanted to do. Proffie faces towards the emitter. I did use some E6000 to keep it secured down. So one, that it doesn't make any kind of contact with the brass, but also because we've got a cram food job and there's a bunch of wires directly underneath the Proffie, just on some plastic here. So cool thing is we've got a neopixel accent strip here. We've got our high amp kill switch. We've already seen the 18650, the removable plate there. We have a row of 2020 neopixel accents here, as well as under the speaker. So all of three of those are different blade styles. And then we've got a 22mm bass speaker from KR that is a 4 ohm 3 watt. So we can hit our kill switch.
May the force be with you.
And we can see the crystal chamber light up. We can go ahead and put our Proffie cover back on. I tend to put it at the crystal chamber first and then squunch the backside. But yeah, you can see all three of those doing something different. Let's see if we can turn down this just a little bit to see the colors. So I've, subbladed those out to do their own thing. And they'll do different things in the on and off state. But we've got the, again, this is a return customer, so we've got all of his favorite fonts and features.
Party Saber.
So we've got Party Saber up top, Fallen Order, with the party mode options on there and multi-phase with special ability to control. Then we have the Power of Many bundle for the Acolyte series with OSHA having the crystal bleed function. And then here, we'll just turn this on real quick. Show these off. We do have twist on and twist off. Again, that's why I put the extra magnet so that if you're not like holding it like this with outside of the grip, that you can twist on and twist off with ease. We also have swing on and then thrust on, which is hard to demonstrate without being in the hilt. But because I know this customer doesn't tend to use battle mode, the twist on gesture control doesn't get into battle mode, but the other two get you into battle mode. So that if you kind of want to do that, you can. And obviously battle mode is just so that you don't always have to press a button to do lockups and stuff. So
Hi, Mir.
when we go to put the grip on, like I said, because plastic is the only thing securing this section, I want to make sure, one, we line up the set screw with that detent, and then just go slow. It'll go on there, and then once you get past there, you can sort of just push it from the top, and then we can set that down. Now it's pretty tight, so you don't really have to do this all the time if you're just going to be kind of testing things and reprogramming. But yeah. So the grip is a little bit short now. The speaker used to be right down here, but now it's about 3 inches off. So you got a lot of resonance. So it's a little bit louder than it is when it's outside the hilt, but because it's further back than like would be optimal, there's a little combing filter effect. So it sounds great, but as far as clarity, some fonts will sound different than you're used to. But I think it sounds pretty cool. So let's put a blade in it. This takes a 1-inch diameter neopixel blade, and it's programmed for a 36-inch blade length. I'm going to use a 7/8 with a little adapter here. This is a quantum blade, so we can get the best color representation on camera. And little Easter, here, I'll show it up here. Little Easter egg kind of thing. Like I said, that ball detent area that was drilled now is a spot for shine through on the backside of the chassis. So, like I said, for normal operations, you can either press the button or twist on. So if you want to engage lockups and stuff like that, you'll have to hold a button. But aux for blaster blocks, and then either power or aux as you clash to get your lockups. But if we do a swing on, now we're in battle mode. And so there's a certain threshold where if you just lightly tap, you'll get glancing blows off the, but then when you bang hard, you'll get a lockup. And then I think that's also true of thrust on, right? So now and obviously that's true of melts or drags, right? So, but otherwise you will just press a button to do that. So let's go back.
Party Saber.
So again, we do have special abilities to do the multi-phase aspects of Party Saber. So when we're on either power or aux and rotating in one direction, either goes forward or backward through the phases. But if you want to get into party mode, it's hold aux and twist to the left. And then you'll get that little chime now. So heavy accents will change colors and change fonts. So, and then it will remember that next time you turn it on. Okay.
OSHA.
Similarly on OSHA, the special abilities 1 and 2, so that's power and twist to the left and twist to the right, will do the crystal bleed. So you'll either get the rushed crystal bleed, so it just goes directly into phase 2 if you hold power and twist to the left, but if you hold power and twist to the right, you'll do the entire animation and then it'll switch at the very end. So let's demonstrate that. So hold power, twist to the right. You can see it's going from red. And I'm pretty sure that Crystal does as well, but I'm not going to disassemble it to show you. So, but if we want to quickly change it back, we can just go to the left, right, and now we're back in the other phase. So,
Chimere?
Master Soul.
For the path or power of many bundle characters, the rest of the special abilities options are just the one special ability for Cortosis Clash, and that is hold power, twist to the right. You'll get a little sound effect depending on whose font you're on. You may not hear it very well, but you have 3 seconds to clash the saber to cause a lockup. So we'll do that real quick. Here's the sound. It'll come back out to about here, and then it'll fully engage. Right, and now we're back fully on. If you do anything to the saber, like switch when it's in that state, technically that's an off state, so if you hit aux, you'd switch fonts. So.
My name is George and I'm Knight of the Jedi.
Yeah. So let's go to the very last preset.
Battery level.
That is a battery level indicator. Again, with this being a 36-inch blade, if the battery was 100%, we'd be all the way out to here. But as it depletes, it'll get towards the emitter, and you'll probably start to hear audio defects. That just means charge your saber. But yeah, that is the Saber. Again, this is a return client, so he already has the full understanding of how to operate the Saber. It'll be very much like that. And then all of the presets are essentially fonts that he and I have conferred about and on. So he's immediately going to take this and reprogram it to do some other stuff. So to that client, all your fonts are on the SD card. There's only about a dozen presets programmed. The config takes up about 66% of the Proffie space. So you can come back in and add to your heart's content. I've got, little templates in there. And again, the config's on the SD card. So that is the Saber. To anyone out there watching, thanks for sticking around. And may the force be with you.